93 Toyota pickup, 3VZE on mine. Change the air conditioning compressor. I already did it. I'm going to show you kind of all the things I figured out along the way, and let's see how fast we can get it done. Think about how I was going to figure out where the leak was, and I realized this thing's pretty old, and it's undoubtedly had UV dye put in it, and it sure as heck it has. Look at this. So the compressor is glowing up like a, well, you know, hooker on a Friday night or something. I don't know, but at any rate, it's the compressor is covered in this stuff. It looks to me like it's mostly centered up around the output. Look at this. Look at the pulley. I think the output shaft or input shaft, whatever it is, that thing's probably leaking the seal around it. But nevertheless, I got a new compressor, so let's get it put on. So I need to remove the AC compressor lines, and I think the easiest way to get to them is probably going to be down next to the battery here. So I'm going to take the battery out, and we'll see if that makes it any easier. So kind of important before we get too far taking this out, there's a wire coming from the compressor. It's actually way down here. I don't know if you can see that. I hope you can, but that wire down there, and the connector comes right up behind this harness right here. This wire right here goes to it. Anyway, we're gonna get this thing unplugged because that's the activation for the clutch. And before we start pulling on that compressor, we yank this wire out if we don't do something about it. So here's that same wire on the new compressor. There we go. Got it. Well, the skid plate's gonna come off. These are 12mm bolts. There's 4 of them, so I'm gonna take those off and I'll be back with you. Well, with the skid plate off, you could see the idler that was glowing like crazy, but the entire compressor housing is just glowing up a storm, so I think we're on the right track. So for reference how this thing comes apart, this idler pulley, gotta loosen the bolt on the end of the shaft first, and then loosen the tensioner. And once this is loose, this thing will all start giving up slack. It can actually move quite a bit back and forth now. Make sure your pulley's good too while you're in here. Make sure it's spinning nice and doesn't sound like it's about to fall apart. I got my belt tucked over to the side here for now. You know, I got to thinking while I was down here too, I don't think there's any way I'm gonna get that compressor out of there without removing the steering dampener. So I'm gonna disconnect this end of it right here and just get it out of the way. And this one is 14mm. Yeah, we got way more room with that out of the way. So make sure your system has been discharged. Mine's already completely empty. I don't have to worry about it, but you're gonna have to get it professionally done. You're not supposed to just release the refrigerant to the atmosphere. But anyway, I gotta disconnect the refrigerant lines from the compressor next. This is a better view of the pressure lines we just disconnected. I made the mistake of removing the compressor from the bracket, and it turned out this was a pretty bad idea. The compressor won't fit out, and it can become jammed in the way of removing all the bracket bolts. So remove the compressor and the bracket together. And at this point, there are 6 bolts left that you'll need to remove. First, remove the 2 lower bracket bolts you see here. And there's one more similar bolt located behind the compressor, approximately right here. And this one has a ground wire attached to it as well. And this one was challenging to access until I realized I could reach it with a super long extension from inside the wheel well area. There are 2 more bolts on front of the bracket near the pulleys. The final bolt is the upper front compressor bolt. It goes through a different bracket that you have to remove it because that bracket won't be coming out. Okay, I got it out. I got to take this off, move it to there. Well, first I'll clean it all up, of course, but clean this up, take it off, move it on there, and then clean this up and reinstall. Ow. There it is. So I'm going to remove these valve cores because it's a real good chance they're leaking. In fact, I think this one almost certainly wasn't. It wasn't even tight just now. I'm finding out. So, I mean, there's a chance this was the entire problem with my system. I don't know. But nevertheless, it would be silly to put all this back on there and find out that the valve core still leaks and I still have a problem. So let's just, you know, fix it right now. That one was loose too. Neither one of these was tight. Oh man, wonder if that was my whole problem. It's okay, I got a brand new compressor. I'm gonna put it in. This thing's got a gajillion miles on it anyway. I think I'm gonna throw it in the ultrasonic and clean it up. Does that sound like a good idea? I mean, why not, right? All right, it's gone for over an hour. There it goes. Let's see how clean all these things got. Maybe I'll grab my little toothbrush and kind of tidy these up, and I think then we're good to go. Well, I've got them all cleaned up. I got a new O-ring for this. It looks like an overpressure release valve or something. I don't know about this. Just need a bigger impact. That one loosened it up. So I just drained out all the oil. It ships with R12 oil, ND oil 6, but we are running R134A in this system, so the oil is not compatible. So I need to match this quantity of oil with R134A compatible oil, which I happen to have. It's a PAG 46 oil. So I'm going to put the same amount in this and we'll pour it back into it. Install the new compressor on the original bracket, but for now, only install these 3 bolts. So while you got it apart, don't forget you've got to clean up the fittings that attach to the side of the compressor and change those O-rings for sure. Well, I think it's ready to go in, or at least an attempt. I've got the inputs taped, the connections taped up, and I've got the lines taped up too, so I can't get them all dirty. I've got them all cleaned up with the O-rings on them and everything. So anyway, let me see if I can shove it in the hole and see what happens.
2 hours later.
Well, I'm getting pretty close. I've got the pressure lines connected. I've already connected the clutch line. It's right here. And I need to zip tie it up. So I was just about up to that point. Everything else is done. Everything else is reconnected. All right, so I got the AC all recharged and I took it for a test drive and check this out. That's cold, and check this one out. I don't know which one's right, but either way, it's cold air. There you go, not too bad. I made some mistakes along the way, hopefully so you don't have to, but thanks for watching and give me a thumbs up if it helped, and yeah, we'll see you next time.